Alright, we have started round one here, and we are on the draw, but we've got a pretty good hand. We've got 2-drop into Undying Rage, and we also have like a late game with our Blade Wing as long as we draw some lands. So if we draw spells, we're good. If we draw lands, we're probably good. So I think this is a great hand to start off with in game one. And a tap land. Excellent draw. We don't want to see, there's a 2-1 Death Touch. That would be pretty bad for us. Werebear, not as bad. Oh wow, this does damage to target creature or player? No, to target player. Okay. I thought for a second that we were going to kill his werebear. That would have been insane. Pilgrim's Eye is definitely not something that we care about. So the question here is whether we... Alright, that plains was searched up. Whether we Undying Rage or whether we Fervent Cathar. We probably get chump blocked if we play the Undying Rage. And then our Undying Rage leaves the battlefield. We'll probably get chump blocked no matter what, because Kill the Marauders is getting sacrificed next turn. We could Chain Lightning, but that doesn't really do anything because it just gets us 3 damage in, and we can Chain Lightning for 3 damage at any time. So I think we play Cathar, get in 5 damage now, then it doesn't allow our opponent to chump block, and we still have a body to put the Undying Rage on next turn. We're probably going to wait to put the Undying Rage on this flyer anyways. Okay, so our opponent is playing a multicolor enchantment deck. Or at least some amount of enchantments. I don't know how many. Maybe we Chain Lightning the Enchantress. I don't think we need to do that yet, but if our opponent plays 2 enchantments in a turn, then we won't be able to Chain Lightning it anymore. Ooh. That's not bad. If we bounce the Pilgrim's Eye, then we let our opponent search up another land. But then we also probably get in 2 damage or force our opponent to trade with the Enchantress. So I think that's worth it. If our opponent gets to fix for a 4th color, that would be bad. But as long as they're just a 3-color deck, I'm not as worried about it. They already have a ton of mana. They have 6 mana at their disposal already. So that's a trade that we're probably happier with than the Pilgrim's Eye. Oh, the Pilgrim's Eye is going to come down. Then we play an Undying Rage. We get to attack for 4. We've only gotten to our opponent to 15, which is not a lot. Or, I mean, we haven't done a lot of damage. And we did let them get a 4th color of mana, so not great news for us. I'm trying to think of what they could have for 4 mana here. I know Second Thoughts, I think, is the white removal spell, which is 5 mana. Destroy target attacking creature. There are plenty of other removal spells they could have now that they have red mana. So putting the Undying Rage onto the Mistral Charger is a lot riskier now that they've left 4 mana up. I guess that makes me want to pay the Echo cost, because I can't play Rorik's. I can't Chain Lightning anything, or at least I don't want to. And I don't want to Undying Rage into the open mana, so I'm just going to pay. Man, now I regret it. I am filled with regret. They didn't do anything. Oh, Maelstrom Wanderer. They got that card. Yeah, that sucks. What did they cascade into? Wrath? It's pretty good. Their hit wasn't actually insane. We lost a Mistral Charger. All of their creatures getting haste is pretty annoying, though. I want to be able to Chain Lightning plus Firebolt the Wanderer, but we didn't draw that. Not drawing lands here is pretty unfortunate. I guess we just Squadron Hawk. That Cascade wasn't too bad, but the fact that we can't kill the Wanderer now is going to kill us. It's definitely going to kill us. Armadillo Cloak. Well, that makes it a lot worse. Wish I had that Stink Scourger back. Yeah, I'll just take the damage, I suppose. Yeah. Is there any way that we can block enough damage? We only get to make a 1/2, and then put 2 power and 2 toughness on something. So we have 3 power and 4 toughness plus the 2/2 is a 5/6. So we can block 3 of the damage, or we can block 6 of the damage, 3 damage comes through, Werebear kills us. Plus any creature they play is going to kill us. Ugh, this is gross. Chain Lightning, if that were an instant, would be a lot better off. Yeah, I think we're just dead. Can see if our opponent plays another creature. Just maybe we'll get some more information, but we'll be dead next turn. I feel like we should be able to beat our opponent's nonsense. And they're playing... I guess they do have some ramp. They have werebears and prismatic lens. This is risky because we could have second thoughts here, which is that white removal spell. But when you play early in a format, people aren't going to play around as many spells because they just don't know they exist yet. And EMA is definitely still early in the format. It's not going to really get to a point where we get to draft a mature format. I would guess that we're going to be drafting a different format by then. We'll be drafting Eldritch Moon. So what am I doing against this opponent? Price of Progress. What do we see? 3 or 4 dual lands. So it deals, what, 8 damage? It certainly wouldn't have killed our opponent in that game. So if that game is any indication, Price of Progress would have been bad. Mog Fanatic would be good to kill the werebears. So we'll bring that one in. I think we can take out the Avrex because we don't really want to go that late into the game anyway. We'll just keep our curve lower. Maybe we bring in Rally the Peasants. I think the Bladewing is still fine because it goes over the top of Maelstrom Wanderer. We do have to watch out for Wrath, which we saw from our opponent last game. Seal of Cleansing can kill the Ramp artifact. Can kill Armadillo Cloak. We saw that that green Enchantress card. It gets +1/+1 for each enchantment. So I don't know how many enchantments our opponent has. That card might just be like a value card. Seal of Cleansing could be good. What am I taking out? I think Fervent Cathar is a little bit worse when our opponent has Pilgrim's Eye. Leave it like this though. Okay, well, we only have 1 creature, but that Squadron Hawk can get a second Squadron Hawk. Marauders. That's probably better. Milliken's decent. I'm probably just going to kill it. I think I would kill any ramp creature that our opponent played. Squadron Hawk draw is so bad. It's the worst draw on our deck. It's really unfortunate. I mean, it's still better for us to have played the Marauders last turn because we get more damage in, but drawing the second Squadron Hawk was unlucky. This Keldon Marauder seems really bad. I'm sure folks watching the draft were thinking, why are you playing that? Or why are you taking that? And at this point, that's what I would say too. It only gets to attack for 1 turn, which at most is going to deal 5 damage then. That's like the best case scenario. I'd like to draw a 2-drop here. And perfect. Opponent only has one white source at the moment. I think it's pretty unlikely that they would be able to play a Wrath next turn. Actually, they have no white sources. This can only make green mana, is that right? One mana of any of the exiled cards colors. So they exiled a green card. So their mana fixing is a little wonky. Playing like a blue-green deck, but they need double white for Wrath, and they need red for the Wanderer, which we let them get with the Pilgrim's Eye last game. I guess that's an important thing to pay attention to. We didn't know that they were playing 4 colors, so we didn't know that bouncing the Pilgrim's Eye was going to cost us that much. This is the perfect board for Rally the Peasant, so... Factor Fiction. Well, usually I would be afraid of that, but in this case, I don't think I really care. I only want to give my opponent Ingester and 1 mana source. I don't want to give them a ramp creature or the white mana that they're probably needing with the Ingester. So they can either have some ramp spells. This is not great either, because they also get to play 2 ramp creatures and a land next turn, and then they'll be able to ramp up to a ton of mana. Maybe I do want to give them the plains. 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be their 5th mana. Ingester's pretty far away from making a difference. It just depends what white spell they might want to cast. Maybe I do it this way. So they can have a ramp. Well, then they were ramping to Ingester. That's why I didn't want to do this in the first place. Factor Fiction is a good card, isn't it? I hate giving my opponent Ingester plus ramp. And I hate giving my opponent ramp plus mana fixing. So I guess I give Ingester with the white source. Yeah, I think that's how I want to do it. And they took the white source and the Ingester. Okay. So we see a counterspell, we see another commune, and we see a roots. Put abundant growth into their hand. So now they have all the mana fixing they would need. They have a plains to play next turn. And they have another werebear. Or did I give that to them? I thought they took the Ingester pile. Oh, they put Ingester and Plains into the graveyard. Okay, so they took Forest, werebear. Alright. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana now. They could play Wanderer next turn. But if we play Hookmaster, they cannot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So this gets our opponent to 10. We're attacking for 6 next turn, plus Rally would kill them. And we would have had lethal with Rally next turn if we just cast it and then flashed it back, but then we would give our opponent an extra mana, which would let them cast the Wanderer. And this is a dedicated Werebear deck, it looks like. So we just attack with everything. Even if our rally doesn't get to resolve next turn, we do have a decent amount of burn spells in our deck that we can draw. Or I guess they need Wrath here no matter what. We don't even need the rally. Yeah. Alright, so lots and lots of Werebears, huh? So at least 3 that we saw. Could take a Relic. It's pretty low risk to put Relic in since it cantrips. I don't know if we even care about Werebear though. I guess with Commune with the God, they're able to turn it on pretty quickly. We have so much removal though. We can kill all of those ramp creatures. So a Millikin and 3 Werebears. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 removal spells for those. So we have as many removal as they have ramp, which is pretty nice. Otherwise, I think we can take out the Keldon Marauders. Everything that we find that's better than Keldon Marauders is probably just a better replacement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gives us still 7 creatures to put Undying Rages on. Then we can play Avarax. Or we can play Seal of Cleansing. Oh, we're down to 12 creatures. Yikes. I'll put Soulcatcher in. We have some flyers. It would have been in the last game. I mean, it's just good on its own if we have Undying Rage, so I think it's worth playing. It's probably better than the Keldon Marauders. It's just been really underwhelming so far. His hand is not great, but I think we keep. We have a lot of 2-drops that we can draw. And if nothing else, we do have a Sting Scourger to play on probably turn 3. Because we want to be able to pay the Echo for it, since it's our only creature that we have at the moment. Hopefully our opponent has Werebear. We just Firebolt it. Buys us a lot of time. Could have been a bad keep, but I think it's got enough action and we have enough good draws so that this is probably okay. Our opponent seems to have disappeared. Okay. Back to the action. Oh, of course. The one ramp spell that we cannot kill. Oh, go ahead. We're not bouncing that one, that's for sure. Man, this opening has basically been exactly, everything that we didn't want to see. There are a lot of creatures who've come into play effects, so the bounce is not really as good. Sting Scourger, I think, is probably still a good card, but we've already seen that there are a lot of cards that we don't want to bounce with it. I could face Fetters the Prismatic Lens, but I don't think that's going to buy us anything. They already have their mana fixing with Abundant Growth. It cuts them off of 1 mana, but it's not like we're going to be able to take advantage of that. They have a 3/3, whatever. It is possible that our opponent can get double red for Chain Lightning. So I probably just want to use that now while I cannot, even though it's not very efficient mana-wise. We can maybe carbonize something in a turn. Okay, alright. We have a lot of removal. No creatures. But our opponent's not doing anything. 1 mana off. It's almost the threat that we wanted. Probably would have rather had Avrex. Our opponent is thinking about something. They might have Factor Fiction? No. I kind of don't want to play this Bladewing out because our opponent hasn't had to use any removal yet. They haven't had... We've seen Memory Lapse, other counter spells. Not like we can play around those at this point because I doubt that they're going to tap out. Memory Lapse isn't even that bad. Counterspell itself would be bad though. Probably should have played this Sting Scourger out actually. We're at the point where we can pay Echo for it, and then it gives us a body to put Undying Rage on. Well, this is great if this works. Even if it doesn't work, we get to Faith Fetters, the Werebear, but hopefully we can just carbonize it. I don't know why they would do that this turn and not the following turn, since it doesn't have haste or anything. They're not getting an advantage by putting the cloak on this turn, unless they think we're going to play a haste creature. We could have just bounced this with the Sting Scourger also, since we're probably planning on playing the Sting Scourger anyway. Then we would have dealt with the cloak. Our opponent isn't really close to having Threshold yet. That was the turn that we wanted to draw land, because our opponent had actually tapped out for something. Ugh. Well, I guess we want to resolve this, so I'll play the Undying Rage now. Next turn we can pay Echo and play the Relic. when it's turn 9 and your opponent is at 21, it's not usually a good sign for the mono red deck. Okay, that's not great, but it's alright. At least we have an answer. And our opponent doesn't have Maelstrom Wanderer yet, so we kind of want to kill them before they do get that. If we Relic, we don't get our Firebolt at any point. You know, we'd like to be able to flash that back, but I don't think that we're going to. Can play Squadron Hawk plus Undying Rage and then just race. Might be worth it. Faith Fetter is going to help us race anyway. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. Let's see. See if this works. Alright, the race is on. Definitely winning at this point. Sure. No Wrath and no Wanderer makes it a lot easier to win this game. I was wondering if our opponent would play Fog. Apparently the answer is yes. We can Carbonize plus Firebolt. Although that might have been wasteful, since burn spells would have been a good way to finish off the game here. We still have 2 Firebolts in the yard, but we kind of spewed that. I just want to save this Faith Fetters, I thought, for the Maelstrom Wanderer, but if our opponent draws Maelstrom Wanderer, we're probably just going to die. Okay. Yeah. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to play Squadron Hawk. Gross. Sorry, we can still Firebolt this out of the way. Sword, interesting. Okay. Well, it's going to be a little bit longer of a game than I was hoping for. So we could have kept 5 points of burn in hand, but we still wouldn't be close to burning our opponent out. So that play didn't really make a difference. I guess we didn't necessarily know that our opponent didn't have Wrath in hand. Since they had a 5/5 and we had a couple of creatures that we were attacking with, they were just racing and waiting for us to play more to the board, I guess. So 2 Firebolts. We're gonna have to pop this Relic though. Still want to hold the Faith's Fetter, so I don't think we need to use it yet. They drew a land. And we drew a land. Wait, what just happened? Oh, he milled Roar of the Worm with Milliken? Ugh, that's gross. Pilgrim's Eye. Well, not the best time to pop Relic or not kill Milliken. A lot of choices could have been made differently here. I'm going to keep playing my lands out because Avarex, if I draw one, I want to be able to play, as many, if I draw like another land and then an Avarex, I want to be able to play both in the same turn, plus I want to be able to pump them as much as possible. Gosh, this is gross. Well, let's see what our opponent has. Do they just have nothing? They had nothing, and they didn't block. What? What was that? Well, alright, I'll take it.